Now let's talk about creating a do not do list. A do not do list seems counterproductive in a course about getting things done, doesn't it? But it's actually a very powerful strategy once you understand why it works and how to use it. And really what this is all about is being able to use a list to easily say no to temptations and distractions that want to enter into your life, either the ones that you create or that ones that others want to kind of throw at you as you go about your life. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But Steve Jobs, who is the former CEO of Apple, is a pretty smart guy. I think we could all agree that he was a very, very smart guy, very focused, very productive. And notice what he said about this concept of getting clear about what you don't want to do. He said, deciding what not to do is as important as deciding what to do. Let me read that again. It says, deciding what not to do is as important as deciding what to do. That may be a new thought to you, because oftentimes we think, okay, we have to decide what we want to do, and that's important. But he's saying deciding what you don't want to do is as important as doing that. What was he trying to say? What kind of mindset or concept was he trying to convey? Well, he was essentially saying either get clear or get consumed. In other words, if you don't get clear about the things that you do not want in your life and what you do not want to allow into your life and be distractions and temptations to you, if you don't do that, it's going to be easier or easy for your brain to allow those things into your life when they present themselves. That's just the way it works. Why? Well, it works that way because your brain tends to take the path of least resistance. And so when a distraction comes into your life, your brain has a couple of different options. If you don't have a do not do list, here's the way it typically works. A distraction enters your life. Somebody invites you into a meeting and the meeting has no agenda. So you know that it's probably going to be a waste of time, for example. And so what your brain does, it goes into a mode where it says, okay, do I want to attend this meeting or not? And it starts analyzing all the possibilities. How long is the meeting going to take? What's going to be talked about? Should I be there or shouldn't I be there? And it starts doing all this analyzing, or it has the potential to do all that analyzing. Or it can just say, yeah, I'll go. So analyzing, a bunch of analyzing, or just saying yes to this potential distraction. What do you think it's going to take? Which path do you think it's going to take? Typically, it's going to take the path of least resistance. It's going to be easier just to say, yeah, put me down, I'll go. Whereas if you had stopped and thought about it, you would have thought, no agenda, no direction, it's probably better that I don't go. But you're not always clear about that without a do not do list. So your brain tends to take the easier path of just saying, yes, temptation, yes, distraction, let me come into my life. I don't have to deal with whether thinking or whether or not I should allow you in. Just come on in. But the problem with that, it's pretty obvious, is that once that temptation or distraction has entered into your life, then you have to find a way to deal with it. Somehow it's going to drain you of time, energy, and resources. Even if it's something that you figure out later that you don't want to do, it's going to drain you of time, energy, and resources, either in a small way or in a large way, dealing with it, because you've already accepted it into your life. If you had just said no, then there would be no draining. But once you've accepted it, then you have to find a way of dealing with it. And this is where a do not do list makes it easier to say no. And why is that? Is because, as it says here, a do not do list is simply a clear and specific list of tasks or distractions you won't even consider doing or allowing to disrupt what you're currently doing. A clear list of things that you refuse to do. That's it. Now, why does it work? Well, because as it shows here and as it talks about here, it eliminates the need for your brain to analyze whether to allow that distraction into your life, making it easier just to say no. So that meeting request comes into your life. If you have on your list, your do not do list, that I do not go to meetings that don't have an agenda, that meeting request comes into your attention, you can say, okay, does it meet the criteria on my do not do list? Meetings, I don't go to meetings without an agenda. No, I will not go to that meeting. Plain and simple. That's the benefit of using a do not do list. So you can get clear about the things and the temptations you don't want in your life. So what are the next actions? How do you put this into practice? Well, what I want you to do is I want you to take a sheet of paper or a digital document, preferably a sheet of paper, and at the top of it, write, I avoid doing these things, kind of like in the graphic here. And then list 5 to 10 things that you refuse to allow into your life or allow to distract you. There's some examples here. Turning on and responding to app notifications. I refuse to do that. So when an app notifies me or an app notification comes in, I refuse to respond to that. I don't have to think about it. I just refuse it. Plain and simple. I refuse to browse the web between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. I've just now set myself up for eliminating a huge distraction because I've defined the boundaries of which I'm willing to work within. No web browsing between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. Get clear about that. I refuse to eat sugar in the morning. Is that a boundary you want to stay within? Then put that on your do not do list so that you don't do it. Writing more than 3 sentences responding to an email. I refuse to do that. I refuse to answer a phone call that I don't know the number. I refuse to go to a meeting where there's no clear agenda. Put those on your list, whatever they may be for your life. Get clear about them, and then review that list regularly so it's clear in your mind. And so when these distractions and temptations enter into your life, you can just turn them away because it's on your list. So put this into action, and you'll be able to easily say no to temptations and distractions.